They say compliments make women melt. But the truth, most men give compliments that do the exact opposite. They kill mystery. They kill tension. And worst of all, they kill attraction. Nice dress, you're pretty. I like your smile. Harmless? Sure, effective. Not at all, because they're predictable, safe, and forgettable. But what if I told you there are forbidden compliments? The kind that women aren't used to hearing, but once they do, they can't stop thinking about you. These aren't pickup lines. They aren't cheesy tactics. They're psychological triggers delivered as swords. And once you know how to use them, you'll never look at compliments or female desire the same way again. So what makes them forbidden? Because they're raw, honest, and powerful. They challenge her instead of flatter her. They disarm her instead of impress her. And once they sink in, they leave a mark. Now, don't use these unless you're ready for the consequences, because these aren't compliments that say, I like you. They say, I see the real you, and that's what makes you dangerous. Let's start with the first one, the one that quietly turns the tables. You're hard to read, and I like that. Let that settle. You're not saying she's mysterious like some cliché. You're not calling her complicated. You're acknowledging that she's not easy to figure out. And instead of being frustrated by that, you find it attractive. Why is that powerful? Because most women spend their lives being put into boxes. Men either idolize them or try to figure them out. But when you say you're hard to read and I like that, you're not trying to decode her. You're enjoying the unknown. You're not rushing to solve her. You're confident enough to sit with the uncertainty that subtly signals emotional intelligence and stoic masculine energy. You're not needy for her validation. You're not intimidated. You're interested without being impressed. You're giving her space to show up, and that's rare. Here's the kicker. She'll think about that line long after you've said it. She'll wonder what you see. She'll try to figure out why you see something different and why it matters to you. And the moment she starts questioning what you're thinking, you're in her head. Rentrée. Funny, isn't it? Most guys are desperate to be understood. But the man who doesn't rush to understand her becomes the one she's desperate to understand. And when the tension simmers, she starts showing up more real, more open, more curious. Why? Because you're not chasing her mask. You're drawn to her shadow. Now that we've loosened her guard, let's go deeper. Because the next compliment, it walks a fine line between provocation and intimacy. You have an intimidating softness about you. Sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? But it's actually the perfect mirror. You're telling her, I see the part of you that's strong, but still feminine, tender, but guarded. And that's rare. Most compliments target her looks, her body, or her achievements. But this one, it targets her essence. She's soft, but that softness feels intimidating because it's real. It's not performative. It's not flirtatious. It's the part of her that only shows up around someone she respects. And by saying this, you're giving her permission to be vulnerable, but also telling her that vulnerability doesn't make her weak. It makes her powerful. Here's what happens next. She's stunned, not because it's romantic, but because it's true. And she's not used to being seen like this. She starts thinking about that compliment in the quiet moments. Why did that feel different? Why did it make me want to open up? Why did it scare me just a little in a good way? It's because that compliment is layered. You're not moved by beauty. You're moved by realness. And she feels that even if she can't articulate it. By the way, if you've made it this far and you're thinking, man, do women really think this deeply about compliments? Let me tell you something. They absolutely do. Not because they're overthinking, but because words that hit the heart stay longer than ones that just flatter the ego. Now get ready, because the last compliment, it doesn't just make her feel seen. It makes her feel invincible, like the version of herself she dreams of being, and the version she fears no man could ever truly handle. Let's go. You'd be dangerous if you ever stopped doubting yourself. Pause. Let that sink in. This isn't flattery. It's recognition. You're not just complimenting her potential. You're calling her out in a way that's empowering, not patronizing. Because whether she admits it or not, every woman, even the most confident, carries quiet self-doubt. You're not ignoring it. You're saying, I see your fire, even when you try to dim it. And that's terrifying to her. Because now she knows you've seen the version of her she's scared to become. Not because she's incapable, but because she's not used to men speaking to her future self with this much clarity. And that, my friend, creates a feeling she can't unfeel. She'll replay it over and over. Dangerous if I stop doubting myself. She'll start to wonder, what would that version of me be like? And who's the man that could handle her at full power? You are. You wouldn't have said it if you weren't ready. See how the script just flipped? You're no longer just the guy giving compliments. You're the mirror reflecting who she really is and who she could be. And that's how obsession begins. Let's be honest. Most men spend years trying to figure out the perfect pickup line, the perfect text, the perfect strategy to impress women, but they completely miss the secret weapon. Words that awaken her identity. That's what these forbidden compliments do. They don't aim for her approval. They aim for her reflection. Now let's take what we've already unlocked and go even deeper. Let's circle back to that last compliment. You'd be dangerous if you ever stopped doubting yourself. Do you know why that hits like lightning? Because it speaks to the part of her that's still becoming. Most guys only validate who she is right now. Her looks, her status, her attitude. But you're addressing the unrealized version of her. The woman she knows issuing beneath the surface. The part of her she hasn't fully stepped into because of fear, self-doubt, or past pain. And you didn't just acknowledge it. You dared her to own it. That's not flirtation. That's leadership. You're not saying I like you. You're saying you have no idea how powerful you'd be. And that excites me. And boom, now she sees you as more than a man. She sees you as a mirror. And here's where things get dangerous. Because when a woman feels that a man can hold space for her greatness, she begins to associate her evolution with his presence. That's what creates emotional imprinting. It's not about physical attraction anymore. It's about psychological gravity. She starts thinking, why do I feel more myself around him? Why do his words echo even when he's gone? Why can't I just brush him off like the others? Because you didn't chase her. You challenged her. And deep down, every high-value woman craves that tension. All three of these forbidden compliments pass the test. They challenge her ego without attacking it. They respect her strength while seeing her softness. They ignite her ambition while holding her gently accountable. That's emotional alchemy. You've just created desire, vulnerability, and trust all at once. But here's the catch. You can't fake this energy. If you use these line shopping for a reaction, they fall flat. Why? Because the delivery matters more than the words. You have to mean it. You have to feel it. You have to be the kind of man who's not impressed by beauty but by truth. The moment you become Theman, who says these things not to manipulate, but because you live with depth and clarity, that's the moment women start craving your presence, not your praise. And that brings us to something deeper. Why don't most men ever learn how to compliment like this? Because they were taught that being direct means being dominant, or that being sensitive makes them weak, or that compliments are tools to get attention instead of gifts to offer presents. But that's not stoicism. That's insecurity wearing confidence as a costume. Real stoic masculinity. It's silent strength. It's emotional precision. It's knowing when to speak and saying the thing that leaves her soul a little quieter because it finally felt seen. These compliments aren't strategies. They're reflections of how you see the world and how deeply you're willing to look into someone else. Now, let's take this one step further. What happens after you say these compliments? What if she pulls away? What if she gets quiet? What if she suddenly starts texting more, calling more, showing up more? Good. Because each of these responses means she's processing something. You've shifted her state of mind, her silence. That's her thinking about what you said. Her overcommunication. That's her trying to anchor the feeling you just gave her. Your job. Stay calm, stay centered. Don't chase the outcome. Let her navigate the shift. You already planted the seed. Your compliment did its job. It disrupted her autopilot. And now she's starting to see you not just as Amen, but as a mirror of what she could feel more often. And guess what? Most guys don't have the patience to wait for that transformation. But the man who does, he becomes unforgettable. Now, before we wrap this up, let me leave you with one final truth. The most powerful compliment you'll ever give a woman is your attention. Not attention out of thirst, but attention that's anchored insolence, in presence, in groundedness. You could say none of these 3 lines out loud, but if you carry the energy behind them, she'll feel it anyway. She'll feel that you're not trying to fix her, that you're not impressed by performance, that you don't need her validation because your self-worth isn't negotiable. And ironically, that's when she'll crave yours. Because women don't want perfect men. They want centered men. Men who see what others miss. Men who speak when it matters. Men whose words aren't bait, but truth she didn't